Hi everybody, this is Ellen. In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to make the happy bacon. I think it turned out super adorable. Got little curves in there. Of course I probably would have made it a little bit bigger, but trying to keep it in size with the other happy foods. I didn't want it to get too super big. So I think it turned out cute. I like it. Nice fat stripe down the middle, I guess is what it would be, and then the meat. I used fuchsia bands from Rainbow Loom for the meat color, I guess, and then just white down the middle. You can change those colors up if you want. I just thought it looked pretty good this way. Looks delicious. Be a nice piece of bacon for somebody. So band wise, it's around 209 for the meat color, and then the middle fat stripe is 44, and then 1 to 3 black bands depending on what you use for the eyes. I use 7mm pony beads, and then 2 bands for the cheeks, whatever you want those to be for the color wise. It's all made on one loom, of course. We'll start by going through the cheeks and the eyes. As you can see in here, there are transition rows to kind of get the stripe down the middle here, the way it is. So, if you notice, the eyes and the cheeks are both on transition bands. Or maybe you don't notice, but I'm telling you that. So that means that we need, like if we make the eyes, they have to be on a transition band like this. So I'll show you how to do that with both the beads, or if you want to use wrap bands, I'll show you how to do that as well. So you're going to want whatever color for your meat, and then the other color for the fat. It's going to be weird saying that all through the tutorial, but just trying to keep them separate. I don't want to say the pink part, 'cause it's not really pink, but the white part. It's better than saying the fat part, I suppose. But what we want to do, if we're going to make the, if you're going to do the band for the eye, it's one band, whatever color you want your eye to be, on your hook, wrap it around once into the figure 8, grab both bands, and then wrap them around one more time. And now, for the transition band, if you're watched some of my tutorials, we've done this before, but I just kind of put them on top of each other, and from the top one I'll grab the back one through the middle, and then from behind I'll grab the other top one. So normally if you pull these both tight you'll get a knot, but what I do is then when I have it here, now I'm going to grab both the colors together like that. I will also show you how to make it on the loom here in one moment, so you can do that as well. I just kind of put it on my finger, and then I'll hook it, and the transition or the color change would be like this on the loom. So just hook one side of the color, doesn't matter which one, and then you'll slide your eye band down to the middle. It doesn't have to be perfectly in the middle, but just so it divides the colors like that. For that little band right there, if you can't make it with your fingers, it's pretty easy on the loom to do. Just take the 2 bands you need and put them down the loom. Doesn't matter which one's on top. And you just look and see, this is the bottom one, so I'm going to hook that, pull it back towards itself like that, and I'll go in through this little space I created. I'm going to grab the white band and pull that back towards itself like that. So now I created on the loom the exact same thing that I created on my fingers, and then you would just pull that through either your wrapped band, or if you're going to do a beaded eye, you want a piece of wire, twist tie, string, although the transition band kind of wants to undo itself, so something sturdy would be probably more helpful than like a string or something. But I have a piece of wire. I'm going to take it, put it through my transition band like that in the center of one of the colors. I'm going to kind of keep it squished, because I'll show you what happens is this band likes to come up and be loose like this, and then when you pull down your bead, it doesn't want to go where it's supposed to go. So I'm going to keep it transition band style over my finger, Take your bead, thread it through, bring it down, and just kind of keep holding on to it till I get this down towards the center. And then I can take out my threading tool to have that beaded eye band. So hopefully that's not too hard for you. It's kind of a pain when I first was having to do it and realized I had to do it, I guess, because of where the transition went. So, but you need 2 eyes, and it is the same for the cheeks. 1 band, whatever color you want the cheek to be. Wrap it around your hook into the figure 8. Grab both bands, wrap them around again. Then you'll need to make another transition band. Like so. And then pull your bands over. So it's just like making the eye, only with a different color. And you need 2 cheeks. So, we'll get started here. Like I said, 1 loom. We're going to work on the wrong end of the loom down here. You'll want your colors. First, we're going to start by laying some X's across the loom, 4 of them, and to be precise. We're going to start, sorry about that, we're going to start, it's 2 bands. We're going to do a long stretch right across the bottom. Actually, I'll come up here a little bit so I don't have the base plate in the way. Long stretch, and then we're just going to cross right over the top of that. And this is with the meat color. Then we're going to do the same thing, another little X right above it. So starting here, I'll go across. And then one more time, I'll cross over that. Our next X that we're going to put on will be white. So start over on the left and come over to the right, and then right to left. And then again, we'll do a meat color X right on top. And then right here on these 2 pins, we're going to put cap bands. It's going to be 2 bands. I'm just going to wrap them around 1 time. Same thing over here. Like that. So now we're going to loom this out. So we're going to go in through the cap bands, and the first one you want to start with is the cap band that has the band underneath on our X. So this one's on top and this one's underneath. So you go in through this cap band over here, grab the bands underneath, pull them up, and pull them all the way back towards the other side. And we'll come up to the other cap band, go in and grab those 2 bands, and pull them across to the other side. Then again, we're going to treat these as our cap bands. So this is our bottom one. Go in through here, grab those bands, pull them across, and come back for the other one. Like that. And we're just going to keep doing that down. Whatever one's on the bottom, you start on that side first. I'm stressing that because I know sometimes even I will kind of change my pattern of how I lay my X's. So just make sure whatever one's on bottom is the one you do first. And it is tight here, or it kind of might be pinching your loom a little bit together, but look at our other row on here quick and get that tension reduced. So, like so. So I'm going to do a row around. And you want to do the same colors. I'm going to always try and start right across the bottom here. So 2 bands, meat color, 2 bands, meat color. Then right here, we're going to do our transition. So take 1 band of each color and make our little transition band. So put the meat color next to the meat color and the white over towards our white center here. And I wasn't as particular about like lining these all up really nice because bacon isn't perfect in how it's done. So like this one I could come way over here if I wanted, and then like next one come back. It really doesn't matter so it kind of gives it its own appearance. So again, another transition band. This time the white will go in that center, and then the meat will come to the outside. And then we'll do meat around to here. 2 bands. And then our transition bands in the next 2 spots. I will say too, we don't expand any wider than this, so if you need to, we do obviously use a lot of transition bands. If you need to just make a bunch of these up here on the loom, you know, I could get some ready ahead of time and just leave them up here to use later. If you want to do that as well, so that if I'm going a little faster than you, that you can have them ready. Although sometimes my fingers don't want to work, so it might be about, well, I'll be at the same speed. But you just have a bunch of them up here ready to go if you need them. So then we'll need another one here, which I just made. And then lastly right here will be a meat band. So like that, the transition bands here, and then the meat around the outside. And this is pretty much what the entire kind of the pattern is that we go down. So we do have transition bands in every row to the bottom, so except for some special spots, but I'll show you when we get there. So now what we can do is we're going to loom over the bottom 4 all the way around. So go ahead and grab the bottom 4 and just pull them up over the top. This will help reduce that tension if it was too tight. Only the bottom 4. Like that. Push your bands down. We're going to do the exact same row again. So starting with our 2 bands for the meat color down here, and 2 bands of meat color. Then our transition bands in the next 2 spots. And then meat color to here. And 2 more transition bands in the next 2 spots. With the white towards the middle. And then meat color in the last one. Like that. And then flip over the bottom 4 all the way around again. Like that. I say that a lot, I'm sorry. Next row, it's going to be almost the same as what we just did, but down here, I'm going to actually start right here this time, and we're going to do a doubled band. So 1 band, double it, and that's going to go right here. And because sometimes it's harder to stretch across this point, you can just take a band, because we're going to do another double band right here. Take a band, put it on the pin, wrap it around 1 time, and then use your hook to grab those bands you just wrapped on there and stretch it across. Or you can just do it on your fingers, but that's an option as well. And then we need another doubled band right here as well. So like that. Now the rest of it will be like the previous row. So we need a transition band. another transition band, and then meat color. It's 2 bands. Then transition in the last 2 spots. Told you sometimes my fingers don't want to work. And that's not the right spot. There we go. So like that. So these 3 down here are doubled bands, and then the rest of these are the same way as what we have been doing. So you're going to flip over the bottom 4 all the way around again. And like that. Push your bands down. You can probably start popping this up over this pin on the end here, so it's not getting all bunched up. Alright, so now we're going to do some half rows, that's what I call them. So on this end down here, in these 3 spots, so it's all in the meat color. It's going to be 1 band right here, then 2 bands across the end, and 1 band right here on the other side. So what you'll do is you'll flip over the corner bands only, so the bottom 4 here, and the bottom 4 over here. Push your bands down, and we're going to do that exact same thing again. So 1 single band first on the right, then 2 bands across the top here, and then a single band on the left. And again, flip just the corners. Push your bands down. Now we're going to do another row all the way around, and we are going to have the doubled bands down here again. So 1 band doubled here on the left, another band doubled across the bottom, and a doubled band on the right here. Then we'll just go around normally with the 2 bands and the transition bands. So next is the transition band. It's my furnace, by the way. I'm sorry about that. Not a whole lot I can do about it. I live in the upper Midwest, so we're starting to get cold now. I know I've said it in other tutorials lately, but I know it can get kind of annoying, and it's very difficult to edit out with my setup that I have. So, I apologize. Like that. So this row doubled, doubled, doubled here on the bottom, then 2 transition, then our meat bands, and then 2 transition again. So we're going to flip over the bands. On the end here, where we did the kind of half rows, it'll just be 3 bands to flip over. And then right here, there will be 6 bands to flip over. So the bottom 4 and then the 2 bands from the half row we did. And 4 here in the white. And 4. And we got those double bands, so they're tight, but 4 here on the corner. It looks like 4, but technically it's 2. And then 4 4 again, 4 here in the middle, then 6, and then 3 on the corner. Like so. So pull this up a little bit more again. So again, we're going to do some half rows down here on this end. So single band here on the right, double band on the end, and then single band on the left. Then flip over the bottom 4 on both corners. Push those down. We'll do that again. Single band on the right, double band on the end, and then single band on the left. Then go ahead and flip over the bottom 3 that are on the corners. And like so. Now we're going to do our eye row. So you want your eyes. So this time it's just going to be 2 regular bands across the bottom, and 2 bands up the right. And then we'll add our eyes, and you just want to get the transition colors towards the right side. White in the middle. Like that. And then just 2 bands of the meat color on the end. Then our 2 transition bands. And then 2 meat bands. Something like that. So on the corners up here, there'll be 3 bands to flip over. And over here on this side, it's going to be the 6. 2 from the half rows, and then the 4 underneath. 4 in the middle. 4 right here. They're still a doubled band, so it's tight. And these are all doubled bands, so it's tight. Same thing on this side. And 6 again right here. Push your bands down. Next is our cheek row, and it's going to be just like the eye row. So meat color bands along the bottom. Then our cheeks. Again, just get those transitions towards the white towards the center, I guess would be. Like that. Then meat bands for the next 3 spaces. Like that. And transition bands in the next 2. and then meet in the last one. So like that. So you should be flipping over the bottom 4 all the way around. Like so. Push your bands down, you can pop this up again. Like so. So it should be kind of curvy over here. Alright, so now we're going to put on the mouth. So whatever color you want the mouth to be, take that band, put it on your hook, wrap it around into a figure 8. And then right here in front between the cheeks here, you're going to grab those, what should be white bands or the fat bands, pull those up off the pin, take your mouth band, slide it down your hook over those bands, and then put the bands back onto the pin. Like that. Next we're going to do some half rows, but they're going to be down on the other end now. So we'll do with a single here on the left, and then 2 bands across the bottom, and a single on the right. So then we're going to flip over the bottom 4 on the corners. Push those down. Do the same thing again. 1 band on the left, 2 bands across the bottom, and then 1 band up. And again, flip the corners. This time there will be 3 underneath the flip over. Push those down. Now we're going to do a row around. So right here, starting with 2 bands, 2 bands, then our transition bands, like that. The next 3 spaces are going to be doubled band, so 1 band doubled, and 1 band doubled across the top side, and then another double band here on the left. Then transition bands, like that, and then our last spot will be meat band. So again, top one up here is going to be 4 bands, 4 bands, 4 bands here in the middle, and right here will be 6 bands, then 4 bands, actually 3 bands, sorry, 3 bands on this corner, 3 bands on the other corner, 6 bands again, 4 bands, 4 bands, and 4 bands. Push your bands down. Then again, we're going to do the half rows down here on this end. So 1 band here on the left, 2 bands across the bottom, and then 1 band up the right. And again, clipping only the corners. So it'll be 4 bands, and then 4 bands on this other corner. Push your bands down, same thing again, single band, double band, single band, then flip only the corners, 3 bands to flip, push those down. Now we're going to do another row around, and again we're going to double the bands on this end over here. So 2 bands, meat color, transition bands, and then double the bands on the end here. So 1 band doubled. And then last one right here doubled. Then transition bands in the next 2 spots. And then 2 meat bands in the last spot. Like that. So we're going to flip the bands over. It'll be 4, but they'll be tight because they'll be double the bands. And 4 again. 4 here in the middle. And this one will once again have 6. And 3 on the... Just making sure. Yes, 3. 3 on the corner. Don't want to lead you astray. 3. And then 6 here. And then 4 for the rest. Push those down. Just gonna unstick him from the pins here. Alright, so now we're going to do just a regular row around with the transition bands on the front and the back side in the middle. So 2 bands for the meat, and transition bands here in the front. And 2 bands for the meat around the corner on the end. Like 2, and transition. And then lastly, 2 meat bands. And flip over the bands underneath. Be 4, 4, 4, and it's actually 4 all the way around this time. Unless you want me to say 4 every time. Oops. Stay. Like that. Push your bands down. So we're going to do another row around just like that. We are just about done too. Awesome. It's 2 bands, just like before, or just like the last row we did. And our transition. And our meat bands to around the corner. And transition bands again. And then 2 meat bands. So like that. And then again, flip around the bottom 4 all the way around. Alright, pull them up a little bit again. Alright, so push your bands down. Now we're going to go back and we're going to flip over the bottom 2 bands all the way around. Make sure that there are the bottom 2 bands. So like when you flip it over, you'll kind of see that it looks like it would wrap around this band. Whereas if you flip the wrong bands, you have that divide. So if I let these go, they'd actually shoot off towards this pen. So just make sure you get the bottom ones all the way around and flip them over the top. Most of them are easy to tell, but sometimes. Like that. So now we are ready to close. And how we're going to do that is by going in one side, grabbing the other side, pulling it through. We've closed stuff like this before if you've made other of my happy foods, so just take your time and it'll be okay. So I'm going to take my hook and stick it in through the right side. Take those bands off the pin. I'm going to go in through the left side, take those off. I'm going to pull the bands I just put on my hook that are closest to my hook. I'm going to pull them through the bands that were already on there. Now that I have this on, I'm going to come back to the right side, lift up those bands. I'm going to pull those bands through what's on my hook now. And then over to the left, I'm going to pull those through what's on my hook. And you just kind of scoot it back a little bit. And I'll grab the ones on the right, pull those through, and come over and grab the ones on the left, pull those through, and then over here on the right, pull those through, For me, doing the right side is harder because it's kind of bunched up there, but and then come over to the left, and then carefully grab those last bands on the right. And I'm keeping this covered so I don't pull it off on the left side. Ooh, that would be bad. Keep them on your hook. Make sure you pull them through. And then grab the last bands. I'm going to pull them through, or you can just slip knot them together, which I might do this time. So I have both bands on my hook from the last ones I took off. I'm just going to take a band, pull it through both of them with both ends on the hook, and do a slip knot. And before I start dragging or hiding this, I'm going to come back and loosen up some of what I pulled, because it's going to be tight and it kind of will distort the bottom of the bacon. So loosen everything up throughout the center. Will help. And I'll take this tail. I'm going to take my hook and stick it in through somewhere. Grab the tail and pull it towards the inside. Thanks, too. And it might take a little adjusting in this bottom part to get it how you like it. So I'm always fidgeting with things. I have to move this band. It's going to bother me. It's on the wrong side. There we go. Happy bacon. Awesome. Super cute. Yummy. Everybody loves bacon. Well, most everybody. My mother-in-law wouldn't because she's a vegetarian. But most people do. But I think they turn out super cute. I love the curve in them. And you might have to give it a little tug to kind of get the curve more apparent in some places, or pull some bands out for like where we have the half rows. Usually it turns out pretty good with just the way it is, so you don't have to do a whole lot of work to it. But I think it turns out super cute. I really like them. Who doesn't love bacon, right? So, and of course if I have bacon, that means there probably will be some other breakfasty type items coming in the future. You just kind of have to wait for them. But I do want to thank you very much for watching. I definitely appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I will have more tutorials before too long, but if you make this guy in the meantime, I'd love to see him on my Instagram page, which is at Crafting Fantastic, or on my Facebook page, which is feelinspiffy or Crafting Fantastic, should find it. And then of course if you subscribe to my channel, then I will know, then you will know, not me, I know when I put my tutorials out, then you will know when I put tutorials out, so I hope I know when I put it in that amount. But I want to thank you guys for watching. I will have more tutorials for you soon.